Okay, let's take a journey. We're going way back in time, hundreds of millions of years, to witness one of the most incredible moments in the history of life. We're talking about the Great Escape from the Sea. This is a story of how our planet's continents went from being totally barren rock to, well, teeming with all the life we see today.
You know, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around this, but for almost all of Earth's history, the land was a silent, empty, almost alien world. No trees, no bugs, not even a single blade of grass. Everything, all the action, all the drama of evolution, it was all happening under the waves. So what happened? What kicked off the single greatest real estate boom in history? How did life finally make the leap and conquer the continents?
To really understand this epic journey, we've got to start where it all began, in the ocean's cradle. For billions and billions of years, this was it. This was the only home life had ever known. A huge, teeming laboratory for evolution.
And this timeline, it really puts the sheer scale of this into perspective, doesn't it? For 3 billion years, life was a completely aquatic thing. It wasn't until a, mere 370 million years ago that we see the very first pioneers starting to show up. Fish with these totally radical new tools, primitive lungs and fins that were starting to look a lot like limbs.
But here's the thing. These fish didn't just crawl out of the water and take over. No way. They evolved into something totally new, a kind of living bridge between the water and the land. These were the first amphibians. Think of things like modern salamanders and frogs. They had this thin skin that made them just perfect for a life in the damp borderlands between two completely different worlds.
So who were these trailblazers really? Well, the fossil record gives us a surprisingly clear picture of this incredible transition. It's time to meet one of the absolute stars of the show.
Say hello to Acanthostega. This creature lived about 370 million years ago, and honestly, it's a paleontologist's dream come true. Why? Because it's a perfect example of what we call a transitional fossil. This is an animal caught in the very act of evolving, not quite a fish anymore, but not really a full-blown land dweller either.
So what made Acanthostega such a game changer? Well, just look at its features. It still had a fish-like body and this really powerful tail for swimming, but, and this is the key, it also had 4 sturdy legs and a strong skeleton that could actually support its own weight on land. It was a creature perfectly designed for a life on the edge. You can almost picture it, right? It probably lived a lot like a modern crocodile, hunting for fish in the shallow parts of these vast, ancient wetlands, the Devonian swamps. But it could also just haul itself up onto the land and roam around. This wasn't just some fish out of water, this was a pioneer, an explorer, setting foot in a brand new world. So, they've got lungs to breathe air, they've got legs to walk, problem solved, right? You might think the story ends here. Life has finally conquered the land. Well, not quite. There was a catch. The amphibians had a secret weakness, a kind of Achilles heel that kept them chained to their watery past.
And this brings us to the great amphibians' dilemma. Their name itself, amphibian, literally means 2 lives, and that perfectly captures their problem. They were creatures of 2 worlds, but they weren't really masters of either one. They were forever caught between the water and the land.
It all starts at birth. See, amphibian eggs are these soft, jelly-like things. They have absolutely no protective shell. If they were laid on land, they would just dry out and die almost instantly. So they have to be laid in the water, taking them right back to where their fish ancestors started. And when those eggs finally hatch, what do you get? You don't get a tiny frog. You get a tadpole. And a tadpole, for all intents and purposes, is basically a fish. It's got gills, it's got a tail, and it can only survive underwater. It's like a little throwback to a completely aquatic life. Then, as the tadpole grows, it starts to look a little more like a land animal. It sprouts some hind legs, then some front legs, but it's still a prisoner of the water. It's still breathing with its gills and swimming with its tail. Finally, this radical transformation happens. The gills disappear, lungs develop, the tail shrinks away, and the tadpole becomes a froglet, all ready to take its very first hop onto land. But even then, its dependence on water is far from over. Yeah, even as full-grown adults, the problem is still there. Amphibians have this thin, porous skin that has to stay moist. If they dry out, they die. Simple as that. So they were definitely pioneers, no doubt about it, but they were pioneers on a very, very short leash, forever tethered to the water's edge. So, how did life finally cut that cord? Well, it took another great leap forward.
a huge evolutionary innovation that would solve the amphibians' dilemma once and for all, and unlock the true potential of the continents. And here is the absolutely elegant solution that evolution came up with. A branch of those early amphibians evolved into the very first reptiles, and they brought two game-changing new features to the table: waterproof skin and the shelled egg. This was the evolutionary toolkit you needed to truly conquer the land.
These two innovations, that waterproof skin and the self-contained little world of the shelled egg, those were the keys that finally unlocked the continents. The leash to the water was cut for good. Animals were no longer just visitors to the land, they were here to stay.
And that, of course, raises a really exciting question. With the entire planet now wide open for colonization, with life finally free from the pull of the tides, what was evolution going to do with all this newfound freedom? What incredible new forms of life were about to just explode onto the scene? The age of reptiles was just about to begin,